So quick test today. I'm genuinely curious, can I expose correctly my face outside with Zhiyun Molus G300? I think I know the answer already because I checked the output of this light, but I might be wrong. So this is just a raw shot, no modifiers and no lights. You can see that I'm backlit, so it is actually a really bad shot. So I will mount the Scrim with chiffon on top, my trick from last video, because I think it looks better. No neck today because the neck look is not that good. I'm using 5 stops of ND. It looks kind of dark on the screen, which is strange, but these are different filters, so maybe that's the reason. I will double check if this is really 5 stops. So let me build the setup and let me check if this light is powerful enough to fight the sun. So for full transparency, Zhiyun have sent this light for free and I can keep it, but no money have changed hands. They haven't told me what videos I have to record and they have zero input in my videos. So actually this video is an experiment for the full review I'm recording, and full review should be ready probably in the first week of September. And keep in mind that I live in Poland, so it is Northern Hemisphere, and I'm actually on 53rd degree of latitude. So power of the sun where you live might be different. So I have the Scrim set up. So there is normal Scrim with 1 stop diffusion on this 1.2 diffusion, something like that. And then on top of it is chiffon. It is clamped with these quick clamps, and part of the chiffon overlaps because there are 2 pieces, so it overlaps from here to here. Not sure it would cause a problem or not. I will check this in a moment. So now I have to raise it and see how that works. I have to be cautious not to have these flaps in the shot, and that's it. And as lately I have a courtesy above the camera, so that way I'm able to see the monitor better. So I put the Scrim up, and as you can see there are like 3 kinds of the diffusion now, like because there are 2 different chiffons. So the one on the back is like the most transparent, then there are 2 overlapping, and this is the darker area, and there is the other one which seems to be a bit darker than the first one, and then there is a again different area. Maybe I could check with the light meter what is the light transition. Maybe that's a good idea. So I will try to check what is the light transmission of different parts of the Scrim. I will start from just the sun is 90. So it is, not sure it's visible, 94,000 lux. Then the brightest part of the Scrim is 6,000 lux. Then the middle part is 800 lux. And the last part is 2000, and the last part is 2200 lux. So it's a bit different. Like, I guess I have to move to stops. So again, the last one is F11 without ND filters. The middle one is F point, and the middle one is f.6.9, so not a big difference, but let me check this one. So the first one is f11.2, and the middle one is f5.6.9, so it's like 1.3 difference. The last one is f22, so first one and the last one is 1 stop difference, and the middle one and the last one is 2.3 stops. And the sun is f64.2, so I don't know, like 3 stops more. So even the least dense is cutting 3 stops and the most dense is cutting like 5. So maybe it's not the best idea, this double part. Maybe I should like roll them. So I don't know. So this is how the setup looks like with 5 stops FND and no light. So just the Scrim above my head, and I think it's too dark. I mean, definitely the exposure of my face is too dark, but I think the background is too dark too. So I will check in a second with the 4 stops of ND, and exposure on my face is f2.8, which is like 0.8 stops too low because I'm shooting at f2.8, but this is S-Log3, so I should expose my face at f4 ideally. So that's the look without the light. I will test really quick 4 stops of ND, and I will bring the light to create the proper exposure. So now 4 stops of ND, and I think it looks much better, at least on the screen. So probably with that much of the chiffon on the Scrim might be too much, so maybe I should remove the Scrim from above. And of course I'm green because all the light is bouncing from all the foliage around. That's why I'm green, so I would have to correct this in post a bit. And now I should have f4.3 on my face because the 1 stop of ND is removed. So actually it might be the case that this exposure is already okay and I don't need any lights. But I will test this anyway to see what's the reality, and maybe I would also remove one piece of chiffon from the Scrim to see if this is any better. So I have moved to the other side because this Sigma is unfortunately flipping the image. So I'll check again. Now it is f4. So in theory f2.8.9. So in theory perfect exposure. And let me see if this, yeah, I can see that light, and I can definitely see it on the screen. So 40%, and it's f4.6. So let's go to f4.4 at 20%. Let's go to f4.03. Maybe I should use EL zones, yes, at 18%. So that's the look with the light at 18%. Okay, which is surprising, positively surprising. But these are 4 stops. So that's the difference with the light and without the light. So I'd say with light it looks better, and I'm wearing black shirt because it's harder to expose, that's why. So now I have 5 stops of ND. It seems very, very dark. So that means that these filters are darker than the other two. I put 5 here because I'm too tired to count it in my head, and it is f2.8.1. That means I have to bring exposure of my face, but at least 1 stop. So let me try. 58%. No. Almost there. at 70%, I am at 4. That means that Molus G300 is able to fight the sun with this small modifier. I will swap this modifier to light on 3 with less dense diffusion and see. That should look better because there would be bigger source of light, and it seems that my t-shirt is exposed correctly too, and the light is running at 300 watts, so I'm not using this max mode yet. And I'm not sure that the fan is even running. The fans are not running, which is kind of surprising. And actually that's a good news. Although we'll see if they kick in. So now 100%, and the exposure is f4.3. So actually with 5 stops of ND at the maximum power with 2x2 modifier, that light in normal mode, 100% of the normal mode, is able to expose my face correctly, which is actually very surprising. So I will try to run the max mode, and I have to come back to the daylight, and it's f4.5, so not a big difference, but still there is a difference. So I have to turn off the max mode, and it is at 100%, and this gives f4.3 exposure with 5 stops of ND, which is very, very impressive actually. I'm really surprised. And the fans are still not spinning. So now it is light on 3. It is really dark because there are 5 stops of diffusion, f208 on my face, and if I turn on the light on 3, it is f4, so it is the minimum I would expose my face in this scenario. But the light is running in the normal mode, so it is not running the max mode, which is really impressive because this is just, in theory, 300 watt light COB. So let me run it at max mode. This is max mode, but this is the wrong CCT because it's 43,000 Kelvin, so I'm going back to daylight, and in max mode is f4.2, so actually the maximum I would expose my face in S-Log3 is f4.3, so yeah, this light is very impressive, and I think it's actually too dark with this constant ND filters. I will remove 1 stop of ND and see what is the exposure, but I will stop the max mode. So with normal mode at 100%, with light on 3 and less diffusion, so it is 1 or 1.5 stops diffusion, it is able to expose my face correctly, which is very, very, very surprising. So let me remove 1 stop of ND because I think it is too dark, and let's see. Okay, so 4 stops of ND, I think it looks much better now. The exposure, especially exposure of the background, my face is at f2.8.7. That means it would be too bright. It's f4.9. So at 50% is at 50% is f4.5. Still too much. 32%, it is at 4.3. I will check f4, but yeah, might be the case that with 4 stops there is f4 is at 22%, so What is the difference? There is a difference with and without the light, but I think maybe in that scenario f4.3, which is 34% of power of this light, is better. So I will now swap the diffusion and see if it's possible to expose with the denser one. I think it is, but let me check this to be 100% sure. So 4 stops of ND, Molus G300 as a key light, but it's now off. f2.8 and a half, and I got denser diffusion. So let me turn this on, the butterfly. So at 100% it is f4.4, which is too much in theory. At 90% the same. At 83% it is f4.3. So like the maximum exposure for S-Log 3. Interesting. And at 50% it is f4, which is really impressive. And actually the fan turned on for a moment before. Now there is someone is doing something in the garage next door, and there is also someone using angle grinder behind me, so sorry for the noises. I knew that this would happen, but I thought it would be later. Anyway, 4 stops of ND, light dome 3 with denser diffusion, and Molus G300 is able to expose my face correctly at 50% of the power. I'm a bit confused, but maybe it does not have a linear dimming curve. Maybe that's the case. So now I will remove one of the chiffons from the Scrim and see if that's make a difference, but it's just an experiment not related to that light really. I think I got rim light now. I can see this on a monitor, which I'm probably looking instead of looking to the lens, sorry, but I will try without the denser chiffon and see. Yeah, okay, that chiffon actually made a lot of difference, although the background has still the same exposure in my opinion, so that impacted only exposure of my face. There is some light bouncing from the screen, from the Scrim onto my face, so now the exposure of my face is different. But is it better? Maybe. I will have to check, but I think now I'm exposed. Might be the case that now I'm exposed correctly, f4.4 without the light, so I guess the other exposure was better, but I can add 5th stop of ND and C. With this diffusion it won't be powerful enough, but it is f4.3, so like just with the Scrim the look is okay in that case, and I can see I got some rim light, although maybe the highlight on my head is back, so I think that when there was a chiffon on the whole Scrim, the look was actually better. So there is no need for the light. Might be the case that light is actually bouncing, the diffusion is actually bouncing some light, because I can see there is a reflection, so might be the case it is bouncing some light onto my face. I can turn it around and see. I think that was the case. because now it is f4, so 0.3 of stop loss of light has been bounced by the diffusion. Okay, but still it is the proper exposure with S-Log3 with 4 stops of ND and just a scrim above my head. So let me put 5 stops and see. That won't be powerful enough in my opinion with this diffusion, but let me check it. And with 5 stops my face is exposed as f2.8, but I think that everything is too dark now. Maybe I'm wrong. It's really hard to judge on the Atomos. So now with the light bouncing is f2.8.5. So let me check the light. There is something. So f2.9, f2.8.9, so almost proper exposure in the normal mode. So I put the max mode and it is f4.2, which means this light is even able to expose my face correctly with 5 stops of ND and denser diffusion in light down 3. I'm blown away. I'm really surprised. I'm not sure what is the quality of the light in terms of color reproduction. It's hard to say. I would have the spectrometer next week so I can check it. But it is f4.2 with 5 stops of ND, and you can see how dark the background is. So this is really, really, really impressive thing. I'm surprised. And now I'm running this at max mode and I don't hear the fans. Okay, the fans are spinning both in the light and in the ballast. But now you can see you can hear the charge. And at 5 stops, I think the rim light is still there. So it's hard to say which is better, if 1 chiffon or 2 chiffons are better on the Scrim, hard to say. But I'm really, 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 really impressed. This in theory 300 watt LED fixture, but with the max mode it goes to 500 watt. So yeah, but actually at 300 exposure is still f4, so it is proper exposure of pale skin. Like, I'm really surprised, and I can definitely recommend this thing to fight the sun up to 5 stops of ND. And today actually there are 0 clouds. It is the perfect weather for such experiment. I wonder how long they can do it. Duck it, they won't stop, so I hope that DaVinci voice isolation works okay. Anyway, really impressive results. f4 even now 0.1 with the light with Molus G300 running at 100%. In normal mode, in max mode f4.2, so, and this is with the denser diffusion on light down 3. That's really, really impressive. So I guess that's the wrap. I think that 5 stops are too much. I have to check what is the strength of these filters. I can do it with the light meter, so I'll do it later, because I don't know, they seem kinda strong in terms of light transmission. So that's the end of today's experiment. I have to wrap this up, pack this up and move it to the studio, so it will take like an hour, so you already owe me a like. Cheers, mate. So I left the light running in max mode for like 5 minutes and the fans kicked in. and also angle grinders kicked in and tracks. So let me wait till the angle grinder stops. Now, but there is another angle grinder in the background. But can you hear the fan when there are no angle grinders? I can barely hear it, so I think even in max mode you can safely record the sound and it won't be impacted. I guess you should be rather cautious about angle grinders and the churches. Quite impressive stuff. Okay, I've been running Molus G300 for like half an hour on full power, and I removed the light on 3, and it is really hot. Even the rods are hot now. I can touch the rods, but before I couldn't, like 30 seconds ago, and the ring is like 60 degrees Celsius probably, and this too. So yeah, it's getting really hot, so you have to be aware of that.